I'm from Canada. So I was actually touring, I was playing professional golf. So I was touring around Asia. 2009, 10, 11, and 12. So I was literally a professional golfer, competing week in, week out. 2012 was my last full season of professional golf. At the end of that season, which could have been one thing and was not, I was just basically, I found myself at a point in my career where I was thinking about perhaps doing something else. And I happened to be in Thailand when that happened. And I'd always been into fitness. I'd unique exposure to strength and conditioning through my college sport with golf, working out with collegiate football players and would-be some NBA basketball players, collegiate level gymnasts and stuff like that. So I just always loved the gym. And so when I was in Thailand looking for maybe a transition in career, this is when I stumbled upon CrossFit, actually in Thailand. And that's actually that was the glue to me in staying here, was CrossFit and my exposure to fitness in Thailand. Yeah, I mean, that was early 2013. CrossFit was a different chapter back. Yeah, it was really raw, it was really fun, it wasn't the rawness that necessarily drew me to it, it was the authenticity of it and the type of people that it drew. Because in 2013, I think it drew, it's always drawn authentic people, but especially at that point, that juncture, CrossFit was kind of burgeoning and growing, and the people that wanted to do it were just fun to be around. So I found myself in a community at CrossFit 10500 that I just absolutely loved. So much fun, and it reminded me of all the athletic training that I'd done in the sport playing as a kid. It brought back those romantic feelings of playing sport as a kid, it was beautiful. So I happened to be at a transition point when that kind of feeling was, rekindled in me, and it really it caught me,
So to be honest, I've never done a beginner's CrossFit class ever. It's one of those things that I've always been sort of like thrown into the deep end. So being able to learn from the beginning, from the very starting movements, I think would be really helpful moving forward into how that then progresses into a full class. So I think with the anticipation of today, I'm a little anxious, I would say, because there are movements there that I have not mastered. And there are movements there that I'm not sure on. I think going into a coach as experienced as Ron, who is actually the first coach I ever met when I first came to Thailand 5 years ago, will be an interesting concept to actually learn directly from what I'd consider an OG in that sense. So I think where it comes to exercise in general, it always goes down to effective coaching. Whenever you go into a class, you always want to make sure that you're taught the right things rather than saying, I've seen this on YouTube, go and copy it. And I think with a beginner's class, they don't necessarily say, here is the hardest thing, this is what we want you to do. They actually take you through the fundamental movements that you need to understand, which then enables you not only to move effectively, but also in a position where you're not going to risk high injury. And I think with that in mind, when we move forward into full classes, and I think that when you have that fundamental movement and that fundamental baseline from a good coach, that then will transfer into your full training, and that will hopefully springboard you into a more well-rounded approach into sport in general. And especially when it comes to CrossFit, there's so many different movement patterns, from Olympic weightlifting to plyometric-based movement to dynamic movement to gymnastics. It's really, really easy to get overwhelmed. And I think with a beginner's class, I think that's where it could sort of take that pressure away from you, and it will be slowly structured to help you move forward. When I first came and I first ever tried CrossFit, it was one of those things of, here's 18 people, introduce yourself, you're the new guy, have a good session. And it was copy what they're doing rather than, okay, we're all in the same boat, we're all here to help each other, move each other, motivate each other. And you almost become, the more experienced coaches and the more experienced athletes that participate, they almost become mini coaches themselves. And I think that's where the community side, especially with CrossFit, is getting very popular, because you are here to help each other, you are here to support each other, and your coach then can come and give you these small tweaks and improvements that you can work on. And I think that is where that intimidation and that worry can also be taken away from an effective class and a good coach.
Yeah, I mean, I grew up in a rural town, a dairy community in Sussex, New Brunswick, Canada. My dad was a huge sports fan. I got a big family. I have 4 older sisters, and my dad and my mom, they got us all into sport from a young age. So even when I was younger, we lived on a dairy farm, and when I was 8, we moved close to the public golf course in my town, and we all started playing golf. It was like golf's very accessible in certain parts of Canada, and it's, I could play the full summer for like $100, junior membership. So I fell in love with that game really quick. I mean, I still love a lot of other sports, but I gravitated towards golf itself I mean, yeah, that's how I got into golf. And it took me many, many years to become a competitive level golfer. But by the time I was 14 or 15, I had aspirations of going and playing Division I university golf in the US, and nobody in my town had ever done that, and no one in my province had done that in like 20 years or 30 years or something. But yeah, I set that target and I was able to achieve that, and I went played Division I university golf in the US, and we had a Final Four, finished 4th at the NCAA championships by the time my senior year was around. So for me, I look back on that very fondly and quite proud of that. I finished my amateur golf career, and I was able to get, pretty top tier pretty quickly, sort of the fringe circuit of the PGA Tour, called Nationwide Tour at the time. So I played the Nationwide Tour, and then I ended up being like a journeyman. I was chasing the dream. I played the Canadian Tour. I played a tour called the Hooters Tour. I played the China Tour, Korean Tour. I played in Japan. I played all over Asia in the Asian Tour. I played the One Asia Tour. I played everywhere I could. Played a bit in Europe. And I was just trying to chase the dream, I did that. I pursued my golf dreams for, 6-7 years before I yielded humbly to the game and then transitioned to CrossFit. But I think now, and when I talk about golf, I think about golf, and it's such a big part of who I am and who I was, and how much of that lent itself to CrossFit. And people are always surprised when I say, like, there's talk about the similarities between the two, but there are so many similarities, I think, between the sports and the approaches and the relationship a person has to that game or that endeavor. When you speak about golf and CrossFit, where you are the team and you have to be well-rounded. It doesn't matter how good you are, you're going to get exposed. And it seems like you're competing with people beside you, but you're not. You're competing against, in the workout, if you don't focus on the workout, it always wins. And the golf is the same thing. You're playing the golf course. It doesn't matter if Tiger Woods and Rory McIlroy, the top golfers, are playing beside you. If I'm working out with Rich Froning and Matt Frazier, it wouldn't matter. Like, I'm doing my workout. And I saw that very quickly. I was like, okay, this is just like golf. I see there's all these distractions, and it's very easy to get caught up. You can benefit from the energy of people, in terms of a recreational sporting or a recreational activity or a way to get fit. It's a bit different, but from that sport perspective, it's certainly just you and the work in front of you, and that straight line focus is very much like the game of golf. So for me, I felt like it was just like this transition of where my mentality towards what I was in with golf, same thing, same. I mean, for me, it wasn't hard at all because I didn't really feel like I had much of a choice, if I'm being honest. I was at a juncture where, I saw this, I really thought there was a great opportunity. So and I knew that once you finish your career as a journeyman golfer, your resume doesn't read so hot. If I'm applying for a job and I'm very good at hitting a little white ball into a hole, it's not really hiring material. So I knew that I kind of had to synthesize my own opportunity. And I knew I wanted to stick around in Asia. I loved being in this part of the world. And I knew that I loved fitness. I think I always knew that I was going to do something with physical activity. I think I was always kind of looking in that direction. And so it was pretty quick. Like, once I found CrossFit, and honestly, within a couple of weeks, I was like, yep, I think I can do something with this. This seems right for me. It took maybe 2 months to kind of like cement that decision, and then there was not really any turning back. It was just, I'm doing this. And I kind of went all in naively without much doubt, but luckily that naivety worked out for me in the end, and I'm able to stand here today, I guess. All right, so begins with me in the park. So once I started CrossFit, I ended up deciding, okay, I'm gonna do this. All right, I need to get some experience. So I immediately just started, all right, guys, I'm doing a workout in the park next week on the Saturday. I need y'all to come and participate in this workout, and then let me know how it goes. And that's how it started. So I went to the park. I had a group of friends who joined, and then my little group of friends kind of grew, and I would drag jump ropes and kettlebells to the park. I had a little cart at one point, like walking in from, I'm not sure which entrance it was in Lumpini. I carted in. We would put some potholes into the turf area at Lumpini and have someone come over and tell me to get out. But yeah, we would do these workouts in the park. And then eventually this group of friends I had were kind of like, hey, like, this is great. Like, you're pretty good at what you're doing. Maybe you want to think about getting your own place, like kind of hint, little nudge. And so I was honestly just looking for places nonstop from that point. I was like, yeah, you're right. Okay, I got to do this. I'm in. And I started weaving up and down the soys every day, all the time looking. I found this place before I even opened up the first place. I found here before I opened up there. So finding this place was interesting because we were going up and down the soy, and we set this map before the day was, true story. And we're like, all right, how far are we gonna go? And at that time, the mentality was that Bangkok essentially ended at like Ekamai.
Yeah.
It was like, yeah. And we're just like, all right, we can't really go beyond, how much further we can go? We're like, all right, we can stretch it to Soy 71, the Prini, like this road. I didn't know it was this road, I guess, one more main vein later, but absolutely can't go beyond there. So we went up to 71, down, and there's Prini 3, and we turned back in, and we got back. So it's like we're coming past W, which didn't exist at the time, and we come to the Soy, facing this way, and we look right, and we see this dead end, and we look left, and we can see the BTS, and we're kind of like, this is the last road of the day. Like, this is it. So, all right, it's the last one. Let's just go see what's down there. Let's like finish the day right. We drive down, and it was just like a pile of rubble at the front, and written in Thai, yellow text, I think it was, and then a big phone number, no other information. And we call it, and I couldn't speak any Thai. Still can't really. Actually, no, Jasmine was with me, and she got some information. But anyway, we walked in, and we found this place. We're like, wow, this is amazing. Like, imagine if we could have a place like this. This would be the dream. I went through several potential partners, to be honest, at that time for this place, and no one really wanted to do it. And I couldn't do it alone. And we're like, all right, okay, let's just hope someday, if we're ever ready for this place, that it's still available. And then at the place that we were living, we were just right under our nose was ended up being the great opportunity, but we had to maneuver some things. So we were living in this condo on the second floor, on the fourth floor. On the 12th floor was this abandoned gym, and it had this like old key, like lock, like old style key. You look inside, it was just like a dusty carpet, a low ceiling, and there was like 3 crappy cardio machines. And we're like, maybe he'll let us like put a squat rack in. So we go down to the landlord or the management, we're like, would it be okay if I put like a barbell up there and lift myself? Weeks later, it's okay if I like assemble a squat rack and put it up there? Can I bring a friend to come work out there with me? Sure. Can I bring 2 friends to work out with me? Sure. Can I put 2 squat racks in there? Fine. And eventually it was like, can we take the ceiling down and turn this into a little miniature gym, and I can invite some friends, and we'll have the best little condo gym in Bangkok. I'll make it beautiful, and then anybody in the building can come and do these and come and join the gym. Sure. And then the final one was, can I invite groups of friends 2 times a day? And so we ended up this is the Wild West. Like I had nothing to lose though, to be honest. So I was just like, I gotta create this opportunity. Mm-hmm. And that's how it happened, man. So we were rolling, and we had a couple little classes, 2 or 3 classes, 3 classes a day. And I built a little community. And then we had people from the condo building who would come up, and they would work out, and they would join the classes. And so we had this really good relationship. But the day came where which it wasn't long after we only had it like 8 months or something like that. Got a knock on the door. I hope I don't get in trouble from like immigration or something. It was a long time ago, and someone comes knocking on the door, and there's the manager of the building. He said, you got a week, you got to be done with this. We can't do it anymore. And I was like, figured that was coming someday. All right, dude, got it. And so we had to like pack everything up. And so we had our little community and we moved everything, all the flooring. We had to pile up and stack out, and pulled everything. We moved it into our condo. Most of our members continued to work out in the condo and on our balcony.
Wow.
Yeah, dude, like we had like the door was open 24/7. We come home and there'd be like one of our members, I remember very distinctly, his name's Blake. Like we come back, and our second shower was the shower. We come in and Blake's just walking around our house in a towel. It's like, hey guy, cool, I'm glad you're enjoying the open gym, man. Right? And that's just how it was. Like we were really, it was really a family. We were really tight, and they hung tight and knew that we were trying to find another place. And then anyway, we knew we had to pivot quickly, and we came back up here, and this place was still available. And it was maybe a week after that we made the decision. So we came up, we found it, negotiated, went to the members, be like, I'm going here, I need you to come with me, otherwise I can't go. Can you give me 3 months there, at least 3 months? And I promise that I won't need to beg you anymore, kind of thing. And most of those members followed up and gave me a little bit of a security blanket. And that was what really was able to allow me to come here, because that was it. Like we were really rolling with it, man. And so we came up here, we pulled those mats out, and we had like in the back here, literally, because the other gym was maybe 60 square meters. So we took 60 square meters of flooring and created like a little island in the back. There's some pictures downstairs. Yeah, and that's how we started. And it was awesome. It was awesome. Like it's amazing now. Obviously, we're truly blessed to have this community. Every iteration has been different and unique and special, and its own character and challenges and different things. But that very first chapter moving here was pretty special. Like the people that came and just the kinds of workouts that we were able to do, and it was so fun. There was no walls here. Like this whole block was gone, so we would do like a 400-meter run on the inside. Actually, when they built the wall, like for our space, it was kind of sad. We're like, we had 3,600 square meters. Yeah. Now we're down to 1,200. But then from that point, because it was so it was what it was. There's some word of mouth, and there's this great place to go work out. We were able to grow and just draw like-minded people, and that's how this place came to be. Unanticipated, I guess. We knew that it probably was going to happen at some point, but yeah, it grew. We just outgrew this place. It's that, and then also when we started the Bangkok Throwdown, it served our community and then really the local community too. So there's a couple of factors here. One is that. So here at Training Ground, when we had the event here, we would have, for example, 30 or 40 of our members would be in here, right? Or we would have 80 out of the 150 competitors would be Thailand-based athletes. And so we knew we had something special that served our members, and it served our community really well. And it still does that, but in a very different way. And so the last one that we had here, we could see these numbers are trending, like there's less, the international interest grew. It wasn't that Thai athletes weren't strong enough, it was just that you had to be amongst the best in Thailand in order to be among the qualifiers for this. And so no longer, and this is done, I don't know, I'm gonna say how it is, but it no longer really served our community directly, right? And so it was like, okay, we have a choice here to either keep it in here, and where none of our members, we're gonna ask for 40 volunteers from our gym to come in and support this event. It's such a huge ask. And we're gonna have to close this gym down, and only, may not even get to watch anybody from their community here. So what did we do? We want to shrink it down and be like, no, this is Thailand only, Bangkok residents only, or make it our in-house kind of thing, or we've got to follow where it's going and just let's ride this out. And we obviously kind of chose both. So we're gonna have our own in-house, and we'll probably have a sort of Thailand only East-West sort of throwdown here, which we'll eventually announce, I think. But then also let this other one grow. You don't want to stop, something's growing, but you don't want to just put the cap on it. So let's see what this could be. And we knew we needed to get a new space. So it happened, honestly, because I think our community supported this event. I think at the end of the day, what makes great events is that you get the volunteers. Like, we've been able to get 60 volunteers in our events. Right? That's not easy to do. And I know that a lot of that's the difficulty of running an event is anybody can get some equipment, anybody can throw together some workouts. It's not hard to do. But not every place can get 60 people to give up their weekends, and then for us to provide those volunteers with a good enough experience that they don't walk away scarred and that they're willing to do that again another year is not an easy feat to do. So it really comes down to our volunteers, if I'm being honest, like our community supporting and getting behind that. I guess those values, like it's something that they want to do. So I think obviously our community has spoken, and they're like, hey, if you want to grow that thing, we got you. We're going to support you. And I think they're going to help us to see that through. And then we need to do our part and make sure that as a gym, and then East-West as well, as a brand that supports locally, we need to make sure that Thailand's taken care of, and that we make events, or make an event that is accessible and that people can go ahead and we can have the majority of the athletes be local, so that they have that exposure, because that's what we started it as. Bangkok Throwdown was a place because we wanted people here to have that exposure, like tying it back to the beginning of our conversation. I want them to have that experience. And now if you're not able to get in the Bangkok Throwdown, you can get part of it, but we want others to be able to get that sort of experience. That by the time that we made the decision to do the Throwdown, a lot of it came down to kind of this reaction. It was like, okay, we know that there's gonna be a lot of energy that goes into this. We're gonna do it, or are we not? And it was kind of like, at the end, we felt responsible to do it. It was like, people need this. They want this. It's time. They need to know that we're behind them too. Like, and this event has kind of taken this life of its own. And we knew what it was before COVID, where it was going. And like, we knew that it was on us, and it was only on us to be able to like, let's let this, right? So we kind of felt like it's on us to not, if it doesn't happen, then we're actually holding it. It's like, it's our decision, and we just did not want to do that. So it was more like a responsibility, but also just that acknowledge, like that desperation, like post-COVID, like people just want to do something, man. They just want to, like, even if it's hard, they want to rub shoulders. They want the sweat to flick off on one another. Like they want this type of experience again. I think the venue that we went to was really great to have it outside and have it, even it got mucky, and the night before was so physical. Like it was just like, I didn't think we were gonna be able to get it set up in time. And I think that just ingrained it. That actually was great. That was a positive part. I'm kind of glad we had the crappy weather the night before and it got all wet. People just want this, something they can feel, And I think the more of those kind of elements that you throw into it, the more memories you make, the more that it just, So I think that's really it. We felt responsible. I mean, I guess we'll start one. The event we wanted to, at this point, we feel like it's going to grow as long as we allow it to grow. So we're going to announce the dates very soon for the Bangkok Throwdown. And we do want to grow it. We know that there's room for it. I'm not sure what's possible, right? I don't know what's possible, but whatever is possible, we will try to go for. I will say that much. And I say that because I don't know what I can say in terms of what CrossFit wants and where they're going as a sport. And I'd love to have. I feel like Southeast Asia is a distinct. I feel like it's a distinct geographical area. And I would put my hand up and be like, geographic zones deserve spots. And I would love for, if that ever happens, I would certainly hope that our event would be something that'd be possible to throw into something like that. Who knows what might happen to Asia, the Asia semifinals and stuff like that. So we were certainly looking at opportunities for it. But I think right now we're just, we'll take it one year at a time. Yeah. We'll get those dates up and wait for a really positive flood of response and try to make it even better. I can't wait. So that's the Throwdown. We want to just let it bloom, and we're there to give it everything that it can. Training ground itself, I think we're just so lucky that it's been able to be a sustainable community and remain and keep so many of the characteristics that it once had. So for me, my goal is to just maintain that. That gives me a lot of peace of mind and peace of heart, I guess. Just knowing that I feel good about what we stand for. I feel good about who our members are and what they stand for. We'd like to grow it, obviously, but we're very happy with the community that we have, and if it's this and no more, that I'm still very satisfied. So now I kind of like, it's like a kid who's got its own personality, and you're just gonna create those safe boundaries. Like it's got its own personality training, and I just want to make sure I'm there to kind of guide it, but it's got its own character, and you're great as you are, kind of thing. That's how I feel about this kid. And as for our other endeavors, we've got East-West, where this is fun, this is great, this is exciting. We're getting into new countries. We're looking for new distributors. If you're looking for opportunities. So we're trying to we have an original product. It's super exciting, and we've got interest in many gyms, and so that's a whole new learning experience. So that's been fun and a lot of energy. We've got our software that this comes as an extension from Training Ground and trying to be inclusive and trying to find solutions and make it, I don't like to use the word safer because it implies that it's dangerous or something like that, which is not, but create accessibility through the perception of safety and actual guidance and things like that. So that's taken a lot of energy, and I'm not slowing down in that regard for that one. So we got all these things going on, but at the end of the day, this is home. Training Grounds are home, and this is the priority, is always making sure that this place is doing well.